Let's see what this letter in the mail from American Fork City says. American Fork City is switching their sprinkling system water from clean culinary water to untreated secondary water. And it's up to me, the homeowner, to install my own sprinkling system in order to switch to untreated secondary water in a 6-month period, or else I'll be fined $350.
So we're here at Sprinkler World in Orem, where Ed, the homeowner, needs to come and figure out exactly what tools and parts that he needs to be able to install the pressurized irrigation system himself. There's a ton of different tools, different filters and ways that he could hook up the system. So let's see how he does in navigating his way through this parts store. All right, come on in. Now, from the letter that Ed got in the mail, it gave a parts list of exactly what tools and filter systems that he needed, like I mentioned. And this is the filter that he's looking for. So one thing that he's going to have to do is navigate through all of these different types of filters to be able to choose which one. Obviously, he wouldn't want to buy something like this. It's not necessary for the small system that he has. So let's see how he does in getting his way through this store. So here comes Ed, the homeowner, right now. And Ed's kind of a do-it-himself type of guy. He knows his way a little bit around sprinkler stores, but let's see how he does in coming up with the right parts. Now, what about that filter? Will he be able to figure out which one to buy, or will he get the wrong one? So not only will Ed have to buy a bunch of sprinkler parts, but he'll need $150 worth of tools in addition to those parts.
Man, this is really confusing. Should I even do this myself? Is it even worth it? This is ridiculous.
So there's some obvious frustrations with Ed in trying to figure out what exactly to buy and what type of parts that he needed. Ultimately, Ed just decided to give up, and he took all the parts back, and what he's going to do now is do a cost-benefit analysis to see if he really should hire somebody to do it himself, or to see if it's worth his time and energy and, of course, money to install the system himself. So what we're going to do is we're going to sit down and figure it all out.
Ed's question is this: should he install the sprinkler system himself, or should he hire someone to do it for him? To start this process, Ed needs to consider the positives and negatives of each option. If he does it himself, the negatives he faces are he will have to spend $100 in parts, $150 in tools, it will take him about 8 hours, and if he misses work, he will lose $100 in salary, increased chances of promotion, the ability to keep up with his workload, and client satisfaction. The positives Ed faces if he does it himself is that he will learn a new skill, he will not have to pay somebody else $400 to do it for him, he will have the personal satisfaction of having accomplished the installation himself, and he will have new tools that he can use again in the future. If Ed hires somebody else to do it for him, the positives include he doesn't have to make a trip to Sprinkler World to buy the tools and supplies himself, he doesn't have to spend the time or effort to learn how to do it, he doesn't have to do the labor himself, he faces no liability in case of improper installation, and it will only take 3 hours for the professionals to complete the task. The negatives of Ed hiring somebody else to do it include it will cost him $400 to hire someone. There are potential complications with contracted work, including schedule, quality of work, and he doesn't get the learning, satisfaction, or tools he'd accumulate if he did it himself. In order to help Ed decide which one he should choose, he needs to consider the economic principle of absolute advantage. Absolute advantage is the ability of a party to produce more of a good or service than its competitors while using the same amount of resources. In Ed's case, the professional installers have the absolute advantage. They can complete the installation of the sprinkler system in the shortest amount of time, 3 hours, using the same resources, whereas Ed could complete the task in 8 hours. The next economic principle that Ed needs to consider is that of opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is the net value of the next best alternative that is foregone in order to perform an activity. In Ed's case, the next best alternative to hiring a professional to install the system for him would be to install the system himself. The monetary opportunity costs for Ed would be equal to the difference between hiring someone to do it for him and doing it himself, or $400 minus the $250 for the materials and $100 for Ed's missed salary. 400 minus 350 is $50. Ed's monetary opportunity cost is equal to $50. Another component of opportunity cost that Ed needs to consider in this example is that of his time. How much does Ed value 8 hours of his time that he could spend working? For Ed, 8 hours at work would mean increased chances of promotion, keeping on top of his workload, and creating client satisfaction. So, what should Ed do? After his cost-benefit analysis, Ed now knows that the professionals have the absolute advantage. They can install the system in 3 hours, whereas Ed can install it in 8 hours. If Ed forgoes a day at work, he'll save $50 overall. However, he still needs to consider his opportunity costs in terms of his time in order to make his decision. If Ed values his time at work more than he values $50, he will choose to hire a professional. If his time is less valuable, he can install the system himself.
Now, through this analysis, Ed has realized that his opportunity at work, such as promotion, workload, and client satisfaction, are worth more to him than the $50 that he would save if he did it himself.
Man, I need to call a contractor to figure this out.
We'll take care of you and make sure this gets installed right. Alright?
Ed is now a happy homeowner. Through cost-benefit analysis, he ultimately decided to hire out having the sprinkling system installed, and this is the finished product.